Welcome back to Outriders. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about the fact that the game has lost over 90% of its players on Steam, not across the board on all platforms. Over 90% of the players have disappeared in 6 weeks from launch. There is only one major reason this has happened. There is another minor reason, being the fact that people have run out of stuff to do already. The major reason is the lack of care for the game. If we take a look at this image, I've taken this fairly recently, they peaked all time on Steam at 125,000 players. From the time of me recording this and taking this screenshot, their 24-hour peak is 12.3k. Playing 24 minutes ago, 10.4 thousand players. This is on a Friday. I'm recording this at 7:30 PM UK time. If you see on the far right hand side of this little graph, you'll see that the players are starting to pick up. So it could possibly overtake that 24-hour peak by a little bit because it's the weekend. Over the weekend it could see, I don't know, maybe 15,000 players or something. But I don't think they're ever really getting their player base back. And it's because they do not care. They have said from the get-go, this is a fully released product, it is not live service. All of that sort of stuff is how they marketed the game, saying that everything works. They then go and be sneaky with Game Pass and it has to be leaked, and then they eventually let people know about it. So people are pre-ordering the game, then they're having to cancel so they can play it through Game Pass. Then they release the game. For the first 4 days, you were unable to properly connect to the servers. It would be constant downtime and stuff. And then all of a sudden, a week after the release, they decide to nerf the player in a PvE only game. And after the nerfs, everyone's inventory started being wiped. They already had a wipe issue through the online demo they put out a month before the release of the game. They also delayed this game 3 times. And yeah, I'm repeating the same stuff over and over again because there might be people that have never seen my channel before come to the channel and go, all he ever does is bash Outriders or whatever. So I'm just going to do like a full explanation as to why they've lost so many players. It seems to still be a relevant thing to do on my channel. As much as I want to try and move away and play other games and stuff, you guys just sit there and you watch me rant about this game. So I might as well carry on. So they did the nerfs. The players' inventory started wiping. They put us into groups of A, B and C. When they finally did the restoration, which took them a month after telling players it wouldn't take a month, they messed up with that too. Because some players weren't getting stuff back, some players got stuff back. People that never got wiped got a load of God Roll legendaries. Other players that did get wiped didn't get anything back. Like, you're kind of picking up the gist of it. They really badly messed up with the restoration. Then another thing is when they did a patch just before the restoration, they somehow managed to mess up damage mitigation. For a little while, they got this fixed very quick, by the way. For a little while after they released the patch before the restoration, you were able to go into an expedition, get a loot drop, and instead of it having up to the god roll of like 11.4k armor or whatever it is, you would get drops that are going like 28, 30,000 armor, and that would be their rating. So they were almost triple the game's god roll values. So don't worry, the devs were super fast to patch that stuff out of the game and screw over the player base. Anything that benefits the player gets patched. But now they've done the restoration, they've done a couple of patches. Every single time they do a patch, something major goes wrong in the game. Now it's damage mitigation. Players are being one-shot, half the mods aren't working. There is so much wrong with this game. And instead of actually putting time and effort into making this game better for the people that have paid for it, they have gone and purchased 2 new studios with their profits, and they are working on 2 new games that are set to release within the next 3 years. So they don't have a lot of development time, over 300 employees, and they're all working on 2 new games. That's why there is a lack of care for Outriders, because they've moved on already. They've already started working on their other projects. So Outriders was literally just a quick release. I say quick release, they delayed it 3 times, took them over 5 years apparently. But the game pretty much doesn't work. There's a lot wrong with it. They released it, rushed out their release because it still wasn't ready after all their delays and everything. Grabbed that money, purchased new studios. They've moved on. And there are still people that come to this channel and say, yeah, but all you ever do is bash this game. I don't like sitting there bashing games on a daily basis, but I am going to do it for as long as the community, the people that sit there and watch my videos, for as long as they are being ripped off by these AAA corporate companies, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to keep hammering on these AAA devs' doors, and I'm going to say, stop fucking taking your players for granted. They're going out, they're working, they got families and stuff, they come home to play a game and chill, and this is the quality that you're putting out? Reverse time, go back in time, maybe 15 years, look at the quality of games released then. There weren't no weekly patches to fix all the issues and stuff. There weren't all these battle passes and season passes and all this sort of stuff. There weren't paywalls of everything, and there weren't microtransactions galore and all this sort of stuff. It was nowhere near as bad 10, 15 years ago. But now this is the sort of stuff you see for a lot of AAA releases, and it just doesn't seem to be getting better. You go on Steam, you find an indie game, let's go with Hades, overwhelmingly positive because the game works, it's good. You look at a game like Chivalry 2, you load up that game, you jump into a battle, and you've got fucking swords and shit flying around everywhere. It's a laugh, it's fun, it's good to play. You even load up Hood, Outlaws and Legends. Yeah, there's a couple of issues with it. I haven't played too long of the game myself, but you load up the game and it's fun to play. They're fixing the issues. They're working on fixing all of the biggest issues people have been complaining about. They have dedicated servers. They're not running on P2P because it's the cheaper option. There is a reason these games flop, like Anthem did, like Cyberpunk did, and Cyberpunk still has more daily players than Outriders. Cyberpunk was the biggest letdown of 2020. It was abysmal on console. The game pretty much was actually full on unplayable. Yet it's still doing better on Steam than Outriders because the developers are trying. They're not saying, we'll look into it, we're doing this, we're doing that. They're shutting up, they're putting their heads down, they're doing their work, they're releasing patches which fix issues. Every time this development team for Outriders release a patch, they have another 10, 15, 20, 25 things that they need to fix. They say we're working on damage mitigation. They've also just recently said it's not coming this week, anytime this week at all. We need to do our testing. They test every single patch, and yet when they come out, they're still broken. Under Prey was the main focus for one of their patches, and that still doesn't work. That is the reason that this game is flopping and is failing hard. I wanted this game to be so good. When I first saw footage for this game, I said it would kill The Division. My fucking god, how wrong was I? The Division has died over time because there's no new content. People just get bored of the stuff they're doing or whatever. But the game is in a much better technical state than Outriders. And I've had issue after issue with The Division 2. I've made like 500 videos with, I'm going to say, at least 50% of those being complaints. Yet it's still in a better state than Outriders. That's the reason I'm doing these videos and kicking off about it. Another thing is these developers sat there, or they sit there or whatever, and they're telling people, do this, do that. They're creating workarounds for their own game. They have to tell people to take your armor off and re-equip it so that this bug doesn't affect you. Yeah, it's nice and they're giving out god rolls and they're keeping up their communication, but at the end of the day, their game's still fucking broken. And another thing is they sat there and said that this game isn't supposed to be grindy. You're not supposed to sit there for over 200 hours playing this game. You're supposed to jump in, play the story, play some of the expeditions, get yourself to tier 15 or whatever, then be done with it and move on to something else. Then why the fuck is loot so stingy? Why, when you get to the end of a tier 15 expedition, regardless of which one it is, you have 4 drops that have a 25% chance of being legendary? Why not every single drop that comes out of that drop pod at the end? Why not have a 20% chance? Why, when you go and play the game on World Tier 15, you have a 425% increase on your legendary drop rate? Why do you only seem to get like 1 legendary a bloody week or something like that from World Tier 15? I saw a video, someone did 200 runs of a captain farm, got 1 legendary or 2 legendaries or something on World Tier 15. What they haven't told you is that 425% is an increase on the base value, which is probably like 0.5%. So you're getting like, I don't know, say a 2.5% chance of getting a legendary on World Tier 15. When you're playing expeditions, the first 4 drops out of that drop pod, 25% chance of legendary. A lot of the time you're not actually going to see them. I've seen people sitting there saying they're playing tier 14 and 15 all day long getting nothing. People doing 15, 20 runs and getting like 2 or 3 legendaries on the toughest tiers. Why is loot so stingy if you're supposed to do a couple of 100 hours in the game and then leave? There's also people 200, maybe 300 hours into the game that still haven't seen half the legendaries they are. Because some of them, their drop weight is a lot different to others. Like basically the chance of them dropping their drop rate is completely different to other things. For an example, the cannonball set for the Devastator drops left, right and centre. Whereas you go for the Seismic Commander and it's really tough to get your hands on. Another thing is the mod stacking. That is so bloody broken at the minute. You can get your anomaly power up to 500,000 if you've ever played with the Pyromancer. If you just go and get a tier 3 mod, I think it comes on the head of the Reforged or something like that. I think it's called Unstoppable Force. You get that, you can stack it. It's not supposed to be stacked, but you can stack it. Mix that with another mod that increases resistance or something like that. Basically, you can just get a shit ton of anomaly power. You can do the same thing with a different mod, and you can do it for firepower. So there's mod stacking. There's modded weapons on console now. There's so many issues with this game. And the developers, oh yeah, all the cheaters and everything, the people using trainers and going into public matches, they're going to have a watermark on their account, only able to actually matchmake with other cheaters. Yeah, we're 6 months in. No one's ever received a fucking watermark. They're still having to fix sign-in issues. Players on PlayStation for weeks weren't able to sign in properly. One of my friends sat there for 2 hours. Literally went out, did his shopping and everything, come back 2 hours later, game's still trying to sign him in. The workaround for that one was to restart your game like 8 times. That would sign you into the game. And then they did a patch, fixed it for PlayStation, broke it for Xbox. I'm going to leave the video there. There is so much wrong with this game. From its core, fundamentally broken. Yet, remember, it's not live service. This is a fully released product. A £60 product. And people actually sit there and question why I moan about this game. You go out and spend £60 on a meal in a restaurant and that shit come out fucking mouldy. Tell me you ain't going to moan about it. As I said, I would love to focus on other content, but these topics and stuff on Outriders still seem to be relevant with you guys, so for as long as they are, I'm going to cover them. You guys come back to the channel, you watch this sort of stuff, so for as long as I can, any topics I can, I will cover. But on that note, that's going to do it for this one. I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it.